more smoothly, more safely, more orderly, and everything else. And yet we put the negative thing on it. Now, as we go through this particular thing, and I deal with that a whole lot in the Gold series that we do as part of this, but motivation, a lot of people today claim or talk about, well, I don't have time to do anything. Well, the interesting thing is motivation creates the energy and direction creates time. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever had one of those days where, I mean, everything known to man? I mean, you wake up and you go out and you got a flat tire. You're going to change it. The only problem is that the jack is broken, and the next door neighbor, who's generally a good person to let you borrow a thing like that, is gone. You got to go across the street. You finally get it. You get down to work and you notice the office is strangely dark. I mean, the electricity has been cut off. They hook up a generator. You get the phone call. Your administrative assistant's not going to be able to make it. 2 hours later, somebody else calls in. I mean, one thing after another, all day long. You know, you're really having it tough. Mercifully, the day ends at 5 o'clock. And so you hit home, you know, and you're not whipped, you're whooped. I mean, you've been drove hard and hung up wet. You have had it that day. You walk in and your wife greets you very enthusiastic. Oh, honey, I'm so glad you didn't have to work today. Today is the day. And you say, the day for what? Oh, honey, don't tell me you forgot. Today's the day we're going to clean the garage. Oh, honey, no, not today. Oh, don't worry about it, she said. Not going to take us more 2, 3, 4 hours at most. I'll work with you, and we'll get, oh, honey, I can't put one foot in front of another. And about that time, the telephone rings. You struggle over to it, and with the last breath of energy you've got, using both hands, you lift the telephone to the air and say hello. And the voice at the other end says, hey, partner, I got a tea time at the club in 17 minutes. If you can make it, we can get in 9 fast holds if you feel like it. If I feel like it, man, how many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? All right. Now, there are a lot of things we don't like to do, like cleaning the garage. So how can we kind of deal with that? I have a friend up in Lawton, Oklahoma. Her name is Edna Hennessy. She owns a big beauty parlor, beauty school, and what have you. Very upbeat, optimistic, positive, very successful lady. Her mother had been in a nursing home for some little while, and every morning at 10 o'clock, Edna would go see her mother. If somebody called for an appointment to see her at that point, she said, no, I've got to go see Mom at 10 o'clock. Then one day, her mother died. Somebody called, and she started to say, no, I've got to go see my mom. And then she said, oh, I wish I could get to go see my mom. It's amazing. It's absolutely astonishing what happens in your attitude when we change the got tos to the get tos. Now, when you think about that, in order to stay motivated, in other words, how can you keep the right attitude? Now, folks, I'm not talking about being on cloud 87 all the time. I'm not talking about these finger poppers that go around, you know. You wonder if all of them are there, and then you talk to them and realize it's not. That's not the kind of person I'm not talking about being high all the time. As a matter of fact, people who are high all the time or own something that's going to kill them. But I'm talking about literally getting to the position where we can do something about our attitude and keep it of a very positive nature. The other day I was walking with my middle daughter, Cindy, and we were talking as we always do. And as she walked, she said, you know, Dad, when I first started using our Performance Planner Plus, she said, I just hated that thing. Said it was a little cumbersome. I had to carry it with me everywhere I go, and I'd forget it, and I'd leave it, and I'd forget it, and I'd leave it. But she said, you know, Dad, as I started using it and disciplining myself to follow through on it, she said, I'd be absolutely helpless today without it. And she said something very significant. She said, you know, Dad, every night when I make my list and the next morning, every time I check off a task completed, she said, I feel just a little bit better about myself. Image building, motivating right there. Now, after that, I was taking a shower, and as I was taking a shower that morning, I don't sing. I've been asked not to do that even in showers. I mean, well, we do have neighbors. Those of you who recognize the name Mitch Miller, if you're old enough for that, he once wrote me a letter asking me not even to bother to sing along with, if you know what I mean. But I was thinking in the shower, and I got to think, literally what happens is the spray of the shower activates a lot of the factors in your skin, and you're physiologically energized. You feel better. And as I was there getting cleaner, I was thinking, this will clean me up and lift me up. It's a liquid massage, but it's not permanent. Sometimes people say, well, is motivation permanent? No, but neither is bathing. Now, that doesn't mean I have any opposition to bathing. As a matter of fact, I encourage it. I hope you do too. I hope you participate, I guess I should say. Especially if you use a 23-hour deodorant they've now come out with it. The people who make it say everybody's entitled to some time to themselves. There's another one called stereo, and that doesn't kill the odor, but at least you can't tell where it's coming from. So that might have some merit there. Now, motivation does the same thing to my mind. It clears my thinking. It generates creativity. It's mentally stimulating. It's emotionally uplifting, though it is not a permanent thing. It's got to be repeated, just like eating. Wouldn't it be wonderful if our minds growled when it was beginning to have a difficulty, like our stomach does when it's running a little bit empty? Well, motivation, you see, energizes it. It brings on creativity. It makes you friendlier. It makes you more productive. That has a direct bearing on the things we've been talking about all the way through. That is, everybody wants to be happy and healthy and at least reasonably prosperous and secure. They want to have friends, peace of mind, good family relationships, and hope that the future's going to be better. Well, the motivation is definitely a contributing factor in that. And you might say, well, I don't necessarily love my job. Again, I refer you back to Edna Hennessy, where we'll change the expression from got to get to. It'll make a difference. I well remember a number of years ago, my wife and son and I were in a steakhouse having dinner. And as we first sat down, the busboy came along, to put the ice water in for us. And then this young man slashed the water and ice out and slashed it in the second and third one. And I just looked at him. I said, don't like your job, huh? He said, no, I don't. I said, well, don't worry about it. I said, you're not going to have it very long. I don't know if any of you ever saw any of those old slapstick movie comedies where you'd have a waiter, and he's doing something here and something goes astray, and he runs back quickly and he disappears in the kitchen, and then he turns around and instantly comes back out. Well, that's what that kid did. He scowled his way in and came out. The kid was grinning so wide like he'd walked through a swinging door on somebody else's push. I mean, he was excited, and he came over, and this time he poured the water gently. Now, he realized that he wasn't going to have that job long with that attitude. Now he gets to put the water in the glass instead of has to put the water in the glass. You see, we really do live in a spoiled society, folks. We've been raised to believe that if it doesn't look good, taste good, smell good, and be fun to do, then we really should not have anything to do with it. We really want instant gratification on everything, and that's really the sign of an immature individual. Patience is one of those qualities we've already talked about as far as success is concerned. I don't believe there's a human being alive who loves to do what they do as much as I love to do what I like to do. Now, I get excited about a lot of things. The redhead says I get excited reading the phone book. Now, I don't think that is quite true, but I love what I do. But I don't love to do some of the things that are involved in it, where I have a 5-hour delay and I'm seated out on the runway, the air conditioning in the airplane is not working. I don't get overly motivated about that. But there's nothing I can do about that, so now I can either sit there and shoo and fuss and gripe and complain, or I can do what I learned years and years ago to do, and that is to always have something that I can constructively work on when the unexpected happen. And so I will always make it a positive instead of a negative experience. It's called discipline. Now, discipline is a word that a lot of people don't care a whole lot about today. But when you discipline yourself to do the things you need to do when you need to do them, the day's going to come when you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. Consider this. The sailor only has freedom of the seas when he's absolutely disciplined to be completely obedient to the compass. Until he obeys the compass, he's got to stay within sight of the shore. But the moment he trusts the compass and is obedient to it, he can go anywhere in the world. The boat will let him go. Now the question is the one who is close to the shore because he's not obedient to the compass, is that the one who's free? Or is it the one who trusts and is obedient to the compass and can go anywhere in the world they want to go? I think the answer is self-answering, is it not? Suppose you're not really in love with the job you do. You can fall in love with the way you do the job. And you see, when you fall in love with the way you do the job, it's just a question of time when you will like certain aspects of the job better, and then one or two things will happen. They will either move you up to a better job, or you will be given a better job somewhere else. The law clearly states it, that when you do more than you're paid to do, that someday you will be paid more for what you do. I love what this little article says right here. For years, the Boston Globe carried on its editorial page this wise observation. I'm an old man and have had many troubles. Most of them never happened. Expectancy is so important. Robert W. DeGraff says this about your job. He says, be thankful for the troubles of your job. They provide about half your income. Because if it were not for the things that go wrong, the difficult people you have to deal with, and the problems and unpleasantness of your working day, someone could be found to handle your job for half of what you're being paid. It takes intelligence, resourcefulness, patience, tact, and courage to meet the troubles of any day. That is why you hold your present job, and it may be the reason you aren't holding down an even bigger one. If all of us would start to look for more troubles and learn to handle them cheerfully and with good judgment as opportunities rather than irritations,